Welcome back to the new ECW. I can probably stop saying that soon, but this is episode number 22 of CyberSlam. As the commentators introduce the show, looking to lead into a recap of last week, Tommy Dreamer is seen coming out through the crowd. He grabs a microphone and talks about how he was sent home last week, and he was also told this week that he wasn't needed. He asks the ECW fans what they think of Tommy Dreamer being barred from ECW. He then jumps over the guardrail, but before he can enter the ring, he is jumped by C.W. Anderson and Stevie Richards, cutting his promo short. Steve Corino then joins them, directing them to throw Dreamer in the ring, saying that he is opening CyberSlam and Dreamer isn't going to jump at the head of the queue. Corino then orders the beatdown to continue before grabbing the face of the beaten Tommy Dreamer. He blames guys like Dreamer for him being grouped in as another original, but he's nothing like these has-been hangers-on who are only around because they're originals. Corino earned his spot in ECW and he's going to make Tommy Dreamer earn his. Corino then sets up Dreamer for a pile driver, but he's stopped in his tracks when Terry Funk comes down to the ring. Terry Funk comes down and takes out C.W. Anderson and Stevie Richards on the ramp. As he enters the ring, Steve Corino ducks out. Funk then checks on his protege Tommy Dreamer before staring down Corino, who backs off with his two stablemates. So not a great segment to open the show, but we do debut Terry Funk in the new ECW. His loose cannon gimmick gets a great rating, which is really good, and hopefully he can provide a boost going into Heatwave 2006. We then get that video package that was promised after the commentators talk about the shocking open to the show. We see that last week, after CM Punk retained the ECW Television Championship over Brent Albright, RVD brought Sabu out to try and make amends between the two. Things seemed to be going well until Paul Heyman came to the top of the ramp and announced the main event of Heatwave. Champion v Champion, CM Punk would challenge Rob Van Dam for the ECW World Championship. With earlier suspicions that CM Punk may have been in talks with Paul Heyman in recent weeks, fuel was only added to the fire by this announcement. Out of that, we get Paul Heyman stood in front of the ECW backdrop, delivering a statement to the viewers. Heyman says that there's been a lot of talk about him having secret meetings over the last few weeks, but he assures everybody that CM Punk being named as number one contender was purely based on his merit as a competitor. Heyman suggests that RVD and Sabu suggesting otherwise is an insult to CM Punk, but that's none of his business. What is his business is tonight's main event, as he announces Rob Van Dam and Sabu against Homicide and Low-Ki. So not the best promo from Paul Heyman, but it is decent, and we'll move in to the first match. Tony Mamaluke makes his return, but it is not a successful one as he is dominated and brutalised by Kevin Furtig, who has Shelly Martinez at ringside. Furtig actually wins by countout when he chokeslams Tony Mamaluke to the outside. He can't answer the count and is severely hurt. Just minutes after his return to CyberSlam, Tony Mamaluke is once again stretchered out injured. As he's carried out, Little Guido walks with him. Kevin Furtig and Shelly Martinez stand tall in the ring. The commentators see no potential end to the dominance of the newcomer Kevin Furtig. Jade is then seen in the interview area where she says that she has made a major breakthrough in the search for Al Snow. Jade says that she's done some research online and can confirm that Al Snow is in Hollywood. As she explains the bizarre twist and the fact that he will be away filming for some time, Steve Corino walks in. Corino's furious and cuts off Jade, reacting to Terry Funk's appearance earlier in the evening. He is incredulous to have to deal with another one of these hardcore icons, and he refers to Funk as the king of the cockroaches. He just will not die. Steve Corino says he is so tempted to get in the ring and teach Funk a lesson, but he knows that's exactly what he wants. That's why Funk has come back, to take some of the spotlight from Corino. But he won't fight Terry Funk, and he won't fight Tommy Dreamer. He adds that taking Terry Funk and doing what he'd do to an old man like him, it wouldn't just make Funk look bad, it'd make Corino look bad too. A good promo there from Steve Corino, going into a not very good video package. Looking back at last week, the first match in the new ECW, the Havana Pitbulls making their debut and becoming the ECW World Tag Team Champions. Following the match, Homicide came down to the ring and handed both men a t-shirt. When they put them on, Ricky Reyes and Rocky Romero were revealed as the newest members of The Hustle. We then go into the second match of the night, both men who haven't really been used much recently. Elijah Burke defeating Balls Mahoney in just 5 minutes and 31, but during the match there was a lot of interference. First, members of his entourage, Chris Cage and Ray Gordy, tried to get involved, but Balls Mahoney fought them off. Johnny Swinger had a bit more success, but Balls Mahoney did get rid of him. It was then the sex appeal of Angel Williams who distracted Balls Mahoney. Elijah Burke hitting the Elijah Express to pick up the win. Two very similar performances from them. Not a very good match, not a terrible match, it's okay, and we move on. After the match, Elijah Burke's whole entourage join him in the ring. The commentators put over just how much interference it took to put Balls Mahoney down. They suggested that Burke needing 4 people to help him win a match is really not a good look for him. We then go into a promo in the back, Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk. That's a good rating, I'm happy with that. Dreamer speaks first, putting over his issues with Paul Heyman, calling him a coward and reiterating his desire to do whatever it takes to take back ECW from Paul Heyman's warped vision. Funk then adds his piece, saying that there is nobody better to trust in taking Paul Heyman down than Tommy Dreamer. He is the heart and soul of ECW. But Funk is a challenge for somebody else. He says that Steve Corino may have tried to wriggle out of it earlier, but the challenge is official. Terry Funk wants Steve Corino, and he wants him at Heatwave 2006. Out of that backstage promo, the commentators talk about the upcoming Heatwave pay-per-view, including the main event that was announced last week. This leads into an interview with CM Punk. Jade should be on screen, but I forgot to put her on. Nonetheless, CM Punk puts over the match, saying that he is past caring what people think about him. Punk learned from an early age that you can only trust one person in this life, yourself. He says that he doesn't blame RVD and Sabu for being so easily manipulated by Paul Heyman, but if they think he's still got their back after what they've said and done, they're mistaken. CM Punk puts over that he has done everything in his power to prove himself in ECW, to prove himself to the fans and to the ECW originals. He says that there's maybe one thing left that he can do to prove himself, and that's take Rob Van Dam's ECW World Championship at Heatwave. Going into the main event, a 66C+, I'm pleased with that. A match that had great wrestling and a decent reaction. A huge performance from Rob Van Dam there in 83. Good from Sabu, good from Low-Ki, not too bad from Homicide. It was a crazy hardcore match all over the ringside area until RVD and Sabu seemed to have the match secured. They set up Homicide and Low-Ki on tables looking for their iconic double team move. However, as they tried to do that, Xavier and Sonny Siaki appeared from seemingly out of nowhere. Xavier grabbed the leg of Sabu, stopping him from diving from the top rope, while Sonny Siaki threw Rob Van Dam from the top rope into the steel guardrail. This left Sabu on his own, as Homicide and Low-Ki were able to take him down. A Gringo Killer from Homicide through a table was enough to pin Sabu for the 1-2-3. A huge victory for the Hustle, particularly Homicide, pinning Sabu, and that is a very good main event. After a replay is shown of the finish after the match, we see Rob Van Dam down on the outside while Sabu lays in the rubble of a table in the ring. The Havana Pitbulls then join their Hustle teammates, Sonny Siaki and Xavier having proved their worth to Homicide during the course of that main event. After there'd been some suggestions that Siaki and Xavier could be on their way out of the group, it looked clear as CyberSlam went off the air that the Havana Pitbulls were merely an addition and not a replacement to them. This group has expanded and they're looking even more dangerous with 2 weeks left until ECW Heatwave 2006. So it's a 64C rating. I'm happy to be staying in these C ratings. There's definitely been a gradual increase in the quality of the shows, and that's all we can hope for really. A huge win for Homicide and Low-Ki in the main event. While he wasn't pinned, losing 2 weeks before his title match is not a good look for Rob Van Dam. We also had Terry Funk's return to ECW, him seemingly setting up a match with Steve Corino, and Tommy Dreamer continues to look to bring the fight to Paul Heyman. It was a good episode to build to the pay-per-view, and with 2 weeks left we need to build on this, keep the momentum going, and hopefully get those storylines even hotter going into the first pay-per-view of the new ECW.